Live from the Mainstream Cannabis Media Empire, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Veedverks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
And I'm Michael Miller, National and International Marketing Director for PanaceaLife.com, CBD manufacturer here in Golden now.
Well,
yeah.
Are you guys up and running in Golden now?
No, a lot of work.
Not yet.
I think we're actually getting the certificate of occupancy, tomorrow, the next day. And by next week, we'll be all in. You're really looking forward to that.
Awesome. How big is it?
43,000 square feet. Actually, 43,000, I think, 9 square feet. But to be exact,
that extra 9 square feet matters. You could fit a 50-gallon barrel there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice day out there. A little overcast. What do we have coming, Travis?
Big snowstorm.
Yeah. What do they call it?
Bomb cyclone.
I know. We were joking about that before the show. Bomb cyclone. That's just crazy talk.
It's just crazy talk. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made last time and try and I'm gonna beat the weather home this time. I'm not gonna leave my car on the side of the road.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
because you never know. It might be bad.
Yeah. Today we are here with Greg Richter from Revolution Micro.
Yep.
Is that correct? I'm bring him right in. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy, welcome to the show.
You know, you guys got the cool background. I mean, all I've got is my books and stuff and computers. And you guys got it looks like you're in Nepal somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, it's a Colorado mountain landscape, but we can do anything. You want to get them in the Veedverks ship? It's kind of high tech, and he's high tech.
Like that.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do that one today.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, now we're in the Veedverks ship, airship. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, we'll hang out in the airship. This sounds cool.
So I've known you for quite a while now, and I want our listeners to know what did you do before? I always like doing this. What did you do before the industry, and did you take that expertise into this industry?
Well, I like to think I brought some of it with me. What I was doing previously, I've been in electronics 35 years. That's what I've always done. Right. And previous to this, I was running an avionics company. When you get in a car now, it's real common. You just expect to see GPS and 3D mapping and all that stuff. Well, we started doing most of that back in the 90s and started doing it for light aircraft. And that's what I used to do. I used to do avionics navigation, inertial nav systems, autopilot, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
A lot of guidance, propulsion, control. It's great fun. And you get used to certain things. It's like, oh, hey, I had a transistor that just let go on, on an output stage. No big deal. Just send somebody to fix it. Dude, it's 300 miles from here. Oh, that's right. It's on orbit 300 miles from here. Anywhere, man. And you kind of get used to the idea that it's like you just can't fix these. So that's one of our big things at Rev is our stuff just doesn't break. In 3.5 years of shipping lights, I have a grand total of 11 failures.
Wow. That's incredible in anything.
Of those 11, 3 of them were lightning because the whole front end's blown apart. The cord's melted. I said, whatever happened, that wasn't us.
Right.
We have definitely 7. I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
But 7 out of 30 some odd thousand, that's pretty good. It's what you would expect for something that's, aerospace grade, which it is.
Nice.
So, these are grow lights we're talking about.
Yes,
we haven't even said that yet. So.
Yeah. I thought I clarified that before the show, but you never know. We were going through technical difficulty. Excuse me. What's that?
I was going to say we make the most amazing high tech chandeliers. You can do all that. These grow lights. I had the Acuity guys over here a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about doing some interesting stuff for indoor lighting for people, because people, prefer lights of different colors for different tasks. And, it's like, you want your coffee in the morning and you maybe want something a little the opposite direction in the evening after work. And lighting's the same way, nice crisp blue for task lighting and 2700 Kelvin, nice warm at night. It calms everybody down. So, we may do chandeliers yet. You never know.
Nice. So how much lighting do cannabis plants need?
They need a bunch. Most of the time, they talk about a DLI of 30 to 40. 35 seems to be the common number, 35 to 37 that everybody talks about. That works out to between 800 and 850 micromole coming out of the lights for about 12 hours. You can calculate DLI, daylight integral, by saying, well, how many lights you got? How much is coming out? times 12 hours in a day, 3,600 seconds in an hour. There's your number. It's going to be somewhere between 35, 37, something like that. Some of the designers like to go higher. They like to go up into the 40s. I don't know if it's worth it. Some people like it, but 30, 32, 35, 37, that all seems to be the right number.
So DLI, sorry to interrupt, DLI is daylight integral, you said?
Daylight integral. What the horticulturists like Mark over at University of Georgia that we chat with, they measure how many moles of light. A mole, of course, being, it's moles a count. It's like a dozen. It's a big number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So it's massive. And you say, okay, I need about 35 to 37 moles of light to come hitting the canopy to make everything grow the way you want. Some people shoot lower, some people shoot higher, but that seems to be, pretty much the common number.
So that's photons, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd photons is a mole of light?
Exactly. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, anything is a mole. If you have for example, let's say you've got, a bunch of carbon sitting around, charcoal. It's like, oh, okay, 12 grams of charcoal has how much in there? Well, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, atoms of carbon. It's just the way they count them.
God, you guys are just brilliantly smart.
Yeah, I'm not a chemist. I just play one on the radio. It's just what we do. But anyway, light's measured in moles. That's what you do. Of course, you don't want to sit there and talk about 0.00018. You'd rather say 1,800 micromole. So the micro, they just shift the decimal 6 places to make the numbers easier. It's that's the reason that meters are the size they are. If you measure everything in millimeters, your speedometer would have too many zeros on it,
Right. Unless you went really slow.
Yeah, really slow.
Unless you're driving a dozer. Yeah. 3 millimeters per day.
Or a space shuttle. I bet the speedometer on the thing that used to carry the space shuttle around, that big crawler.
Yeah.
Miles per hour wouldn't make much sense.
No, it wouldn't, would it?
Meters per hour, maybe. Miles per day.
Yeah, miles per day. It's like it's moving, but slowly. So that's kind of what's happening there.
So can you explain some of these other lighting measures? So you talked about DLI. What are PPF and PPFD?
Well, when you talk about lighting, the question is, well, how much light comes out of this thing? When you buy a light, there's all kinds of people want to talk about all kinds of things. And guess what lights do? They take electricity and make them into light. That's it. And you're buying PPFD, which is a photosynthetic photon flux density. PPF, photosynthetic photon flux. It's in micromoles per second. Give you a good example. A 630 watt CNH is a PPF of about 1,200 micromoles a second. A HPSDE, about 2,000 micromoles a second. Or a VCLED, about 2,300 micromoles a second. So you say, okay, I got 10 of those in a room. 2,300 times 10, 23,000 micromoles per second going into that room. You say times 12 hours in a day, 3,600 seconds in an hour. Boom, that's how you get to your DLI. Daylight integral is basically add them up. PPFD is just micromoles per second spread over how many square feet or how many square meters. If you have a light that puts out, let's say, 2,000 PPF, and it's covering a meter with it, your par meter is going to read 2,000. If you raise the light up until it covers 10 meters, it's going to read 200. It's just a matter of spread it out. The thinner you spread the paint, the more area it covers.
Wow. Do you understand all that? You do, don't you?
I get it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I'm the odd man sitting out right now. So as far as spectrum goes, I hear that from a lot of different people, how important it is. Could you tell me your opinion on spectrum?
I can. We just did a fun spectrum test in the basement. Because we've got a little grow thing going downstairs. We've got our collection of Pro Mix, and I've got a Deva low frequency HPS VE sitting next to a 2,300 micromole of VC down in the basement. And it worked great. And what we do is we're growing the same plants under the same lights, right next to each other in the same pile of cocoa, or peat moss in the case of the Pro Mix. And what I found out is we grew some mustard greens, and they're pretty strong coming under the HPS. You take a bite of the one that's going under the LED that has a lot of the greens and the yellows and the orange and the blue, and it's more solar spectrum. It's much hotter, much spicier, much stronger. 440 nano and 660 nanometer red will grow you a lot of cellulose. It'll grow you a lot of volume, but it doesn't taste like much. When you fill in the colors in the middle, now it tastes like much. That's why cannabis growers will tell you that CMH just grows better tasting cannabis. It has more of the terpenes and colors and flavonoids and stuff that you'd expect that you just don't get under HPS. Marisa just wandered in.
Oh, yay.
She knows all about this stuff.
Too. Hey, welcome to the show, Marisa. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. So, hold on. We're going to...
All right.
There we go.
Thanks for joining us, Marisa McRainey.
Yes.
Yes. So we've been...
Spectrum. We're in an airship. Or they're in an airship.
Yeah, we are. We're piloting it right now. Well, at least Travis is. He's the pilot. I'm just right along.
Yeah. So, I always see back on the Spectrum stuff.
Right.
I see a lot of ads from a different grow light company that they must have, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars they must have spent targeting me with ads on YouTube. But there's just a big purple greenhouse. It's lit up at night, and it's just totally purple. And it took... I've never actually had it explained to me, but I've always assumed that the reason for the purple is because the plants are reflecting the green, so it's kind of wasted photons. Is that correct? Like if you
would think that it is, but the thing to look at is McRainey, the guy who developed the McRainey curve in 1971. He said that when they did all their testing, that plants are less sensitive to green, and by less sensitive, it's not like 80% less sensitive. It's like 15 or 20% less sensitive. When you think about what a plant is, from an engineering standpoint, because that's where I'm going to go.
Right.
It's essentially a chemical factory, and each of the chemical reactions in that leaf is excited by some wavelength of light. 440 and 660 nanometer grows your chlorophyll, and you get big plants. All those wavelengths in the middle give you other tastes, other chemicals, other things. By adjusting the spectrum, you can change what the plant grows. In Japan, they're growing lettuces with vitamin A in them and doing all kinds of interesting things by altering the spectrum. And you find that if you grow the lettuce under the blue and under the red, you get good lettuce, but it doesn't taste like much. So you add some of the colors in the middle that fills out the rest of sunlight, and now the flavor comes back. Wow. So it's interesting. We're 5 years from now, we'll know a lot more. They're doing a lot of good tests at University of Michigan, University of Georgia, also North Carolina. They're doing a lot of testing on this, and we're learning a lot. But what we're finding out is, it needs some green.
Are there any other frequencies on the electromagnetic spectrum that we wouldn't consider to be light that could be used for enhancing plant growth?
Well, there's a big debate right now about ultraviolet, whether that is or isn't necessary. And some people say, yes, it's critical. And some people say, no, it's not. But you're talking about EMAG, if you're talking about some of the Russian work that's been done where they put a wire over the top of it and excite it with RF and the plants move toward the wire, that's interesting, but it's only one guy's really done those experiments. I hadn't seen a lot else on it. But I think there is something to it.
Wonder if all our plants are going to just go ape once we have 5G blasting everywhere. Plants will be like, yes, I love it. Accidentally save the planet.
Yeah, the 5G stuff is interesting because it's millimeter wave. It goes all the way up to 300 gigahertz. That's way on up there.
Yeah.
And I mean, way up there. The higher in frequency you go, of course, the more energy is involved. And you can get all kinds of interesting effects. I'm not a big fan of millimeter wave anything. I always opt out at the airport. And the guys ask, and they say, well, why don't you want to go through it? I said, electronic engineer, I know how it works. If you were, you wouldn't either.
Are you serious? Wait, stop. I want to hear more about that. Because I know people that it doesn't matter if they have to, have a strip search. They're not going to go through that radar detection.
Millimeter wave.
Yeah, they're not going to go through it.
It's not good stuff. It's one of those things that you look at, it's like getting a chest x-ray. It's like you get one every 5 years, it doesn't matter. If you do a lot of flying, you don't need to do this all the time. It's like more and more and more and more. Radiation is something that you don't want. And a little bit probably won't hurt you much. A lot of it all the time, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the physicists or electronicers that will go through it. They say, nah, I'll take 10 minutes. Go ahead and look through my stuff.
Yeah.
But electromagnetics, as far as plants go, interesting stuff. There's a lot of people theorizing and kicking that around, and I'd like to play with that a little bit. I think we could do that. I'm a big radio guy. I've actually got my ham radio sitting here next to me on the desk, and would love to play around with it and see what the plants do. It would be neat.
Did you know that they're going to release pictures of a black hole tomorrow?
They did already, I think.
Oh, they did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I saw it online. Here, I'll pull that while you go.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. This stuff fascinates me. So what you've described a bunch of different ways that you can measure the light that comes out of these horticultural lights. Why don't they just say lumens? Can you explain what a lumen is?
I can tell you, lumens. The old joke in the industry is lumens are for humans, because lumens are based on the photopic curve, which is how people perceive light. It's centered on green and it rolls off sharply as you go toward red and blue. Plants use the whole PAR region, photosynthetically active radiation, PAR. That runs from about 450 to about 750 nanometer, and there's some debate on UV being below 450. Maybe we need it, maybe we don't. Depends on who you ask. When you get 4 PhDs and you get 5 opinions, it's okay. This is an open discussion. But humans perceive green very strongly and red not so much, but deep blue not so much. So if you measure a horticultural lamp in lumens, it will appear bright to you, but may in fact not be bright to the plant. It's like if you wore plant sunglasses and you saw what a plant saw, all the greens would disappear down, because humans are very sensitive to them. Apparently, we grew up under a bunch of green leaves. Who'd have guessed?
So tell our listeners, what's new in the lighting tech for growing?
LEDs have been the thing for a while. People are like, LEDs are coming.
Yeah.
Electric cars are coming too. Yeah, sure are. And, every third car on the road here in Sandy Springs is a Tesla. It's like, yep, they're here. LEDs are here. They're 2 years ago, I wouldn't take any of them seriously. They're just low power and not reliable, and they're not ready. They're ready, and that's the new thing. Spectrum tunability, programmable spectrum, where you can go from clone all the way through to harvest without moving the plants from room to room to room. Because instead of having to say, well, I need T5s for my clones, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to put them onto halide to veg them, and then I'm going to switch to HPS. A lot easier to just walk over and push that button and say, change spectrum, go. If you think about the amount of space that you waste in a typical grow facility indoor for veg space and clone space, turn that all into production. Your facility now makes quite a lot more money because you're not wasting that in non-productive, non-growing space. Just push the button instead of move the room. That's a big deal. Also, efficiencies are climbing. Our VC light is brighter than a DE by about 15% with the same amount of power in. So it's not perfectly linear, but 15% more light, you're growing more weight, more grams per square foot for the same amount of electricity. And HPS lights, the lamps age 5 to 7% over a year. So you say, well, I'm going to beat the HPS by 5 to 7% just because the lamp's not aging and the output stopped dropping. And oh, by the way, we were 15% more to start with. That's a big number. You're talking 15, 18, almost 20% more weight. That's noticeable. That's real noticeable.
Do photons have mass?
They do.
So you could almost measure the weight of the photons that you have to apply to create a gram of cannabis, almost like the same like phosphorus that the plant would require or something.
You could do it. Photons are interesting little creatures because a photon is a quantum of light, and quanta are strange little beasties. You can model them as a wave, you can model them as a particle. The math works either way. And it's like, well, which one are they? And of course, Dr. Schrodinger would nod his head and say, yes, of course they are. Both of them, same. So it's an interesting thing. They're extraordinarily light and very energetic. Interesting stuff. Unlike neutrinos that are so light, people say they don't have mass, but we found out, of course, that they do.
You guys, I'm just sitting back. Go ahead.
Well, as we know, both photons and neutrinos are fundamental particles, such as quarks, not to be confused. I love
confused with leaders, which are somewhat larger than quarks. So, did I get that wrong again? I always do that. So,
awesome. Go ahead.
So it sounds like LEDs are Are they a viable now competitor for high pressure sodium lights now?
They are. If the thing to look at with an LED is say how many micromoles does it put out? Because that's what lights do. They put out micromoles. Like our VC puts out 2,300 versus 2,000 for a DE HPS fixture. Say, okay, it's brighter and it has a better spectrum. It's more sunlight and less orange. So you say, yep, it is. Now, if you say, well, I've got this nifty 600 watt light and it puts out 1,300 micromole, 1,300 micromoles is not going to compete with 2,000. This is where I think the industry got a little bit into the ditch there with this equivalent watts thing. Anytime somebody says equivalent watts, they're just smoke and mirrors. There's no such thing as an equivalent watt. Equivalent photon output, yeah. It's kind of like measuring performance at the dynamometer versus performance at the brochure, which is why we really, really push for third-party testing. UL, CSA, FCC. When you have a certified test that say this puts out 2,321 micromole at 1,000 watts in and at this rate, then you know what you're looking at. If you're going to buy a light, first thing to do is say, do you have a certified test on that? The answer is no. Why not?
I don't know.
You got to have.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense to.
We've seen some stuff in brochures where some of these things actually violate the laws of physics. It's like we're getting, 4.6 micromole per joule. Say, well, that's impressive. They can't do that with liquid nitrogen in the laboratory. How do you know what you're looking at? If you're going to buy a light, like you see some of these things are just so out there. But now with third-party testing and people are starting to really look at the hard numbers and say, yeah, UL tested it and it's this, or CSA tested it and it's that. It's like, yeah, you know what you're looking at. And I think that's really, really important. The industry is maturing, which is good for everybody.
Do you think there's anything to the theory that if you talk to your plants or if you play sound for your plants, since again it's in that spectrum? I know it's a variation of a question I asked earlier, but
you mean, well, I know if I talk to my plants, I feel better about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, I'm sure they welcome the carbon dioxide. They like the additional CO2. They don't know what I'm talking about, I hope. And I have some succulents that respond well to 70s funk, and we do have some potted plants that Marisa put in here that do not like jazz. I think she does. Probably.
They just haven't heard good jazz.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's it. I mean, I put on Kind of Blue, and if that ain't good, I don't know where to go. So. But yeah, I think there is something to it. Plants are living things just like we are, except they're plants. And it's like living things interact with other living things in ways that we don't really quite understand yet. The better our instruments get and the more we can do with it, the more we start learning about it. And the more we instrument and measure, the more we find out that, yeah, other living things pick up on what we're doing in ways we did not expect.
What makes your Avicii LED lights so disruptive then to the market?
It is very bright at 2,300 micromole. It's brighter than a DE by about 15%. It's brighter than our nearest competitor by 50%.
Wow.
So, wow. It takes 3 of theirs to do what one of ours does. And oh, by the way, ours are a third less money. So it will cost you to light a room to, let's say, 850 micromole to hit that DLI of 35. It'll cost you more than double with our nearest competitor than it will with the VC. Oh, wow. Compared to HPS, there are no lamps to change, no lamps that degrade. You gain back that 5 to 7% that you lost from HPS lamp aging. We've got 15% more coming out of the light with the same power, so you're growing more grams per square foot. But the cost per micromole is a real shocker. 2,300 micromole and programmable spectrum for $999. Good list. Most of these LEDs are $1,200, $1,600,
sure.
$2,000. We broke the $1,000 barrier, and we broke that barrier with a light that's brighter than the DE it replaces with a better spectrum, and you can change the spectrum. Clone, veg, flower, finish has 4 presets. If you say, well, I like my spectrum to look like, well, go ahead, change it. Touch, touch, touch. Now it looks like what you want.
Nice.
Have you ever messed around with cycling the frequencies, like party mode, to see if that did anything?
Marisa wanted me to do that for MJ Biz. We're going to do that this year. I took one of the took one of the temperature sensor channels and hooked a microphone to it. And what you do is you set the low frequency stuff to the reds and the high frequency stuff to the blues, and you just have the white sparkle, and you get your basic disco light effect, which would be great. So totally do it.
I'm just wondering, how do you price yours so competitively? Actually, less than any competitor. Well, there's not even the same quality out there. So how do you do that?
Well, we do something that's very unusual. We're about the only guys in the industry that I know of that design, manufacture, and build everything in-house.
There you go.
I design the stuff. I'm an electronic engineer. This is what I do. This is what I've done for 35 years. We design it, we build it, we put it in boxes, and we sell it directly to the guys that use it. I'm not saying, well, we're going to build this and sell it to a jobber, who's going to sell it to a distributor, who's going to sell it to somebody else, and there are 5 guys in the chain. You're buying it from the guys that built it. So, of course, you're going to get a lot better price because we don't have to feed that entire chain.
Nice.
Have you ever... I imagine you've probably got a pretty cool workshop then. Like, do you have a good workshop to tinker around in?
Yeah, it's real Iron Man. We can build just about anything.
What are some of the just wacky projects that you've built over your life with your skills?
Well, I can show you this one. Let me see if I can just turn it around and let you see.
That's my favorite. Oh, the machine. No. Yay.
There it is. That is an interesting device. Speakers, if you notice, you've got one eardrum on each side. And most speakers, you've got tweeter, mid-range, woofer, and sub. 4 on each side. This doesn't work. It never works. That's why recorded music, no matter how good it is, doesn't sound real. So what I did is we built what looks like a 15-inch woofer that goes from about 12 hertz, far below what you can hear, to about 18 kilohertz, the absolute edge of what you can hear. Now, the magnet's this big. But with that and a bunch of nasty DSP software, we have something that runs bullet flat from around 18 hertz to 18 kilohertz. Everybody who hears it says the same thing. My God, they sound like they're right here. Wow. And we built those just for giggles. And when I mean built them, when most people build speakers, it means I made a box. That driver, we made that. We made the basket. We have a die that presses the cone. We wind the voice coils. We make the magnets. We make it. And built the DSP system and the electronics and the amps that drive it. Sounds like a tube amp, but, just for fun. Also built a jet airplane for giggles. That was a thing. You
built a jet airplane for giggles?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what I was thinking.
Did it fly? Did it fly?
Nope, just started from scratch and built it. It's a 2-seater canard jet, and you can hop in there and go zooming off wherever you like to go.
Greg won't say it, but he's the only human being in the world to ever successfully build a jet plane in the garage, fly it, and not die.
Wow. Congratulations.
Hopefully there's some other people who've done it by now. I just haven't heard. But it's an interesting thing. You can Google it on YouTube. It's called Cozy Jet. And you can look at Cozy Jet takeoff. And here's one where she's taking off, we're flying, and it's like, it really doesn't do much. And then all of a sudden, bye-bye. And that was it. Not quite, but nearly straight up.
Wow, amazing. He flew jets before.
Really? Which ones?
T-37 and T-38.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I used to fly the L-39s,
oh, nice.
The Aerovolt hoodies.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get those things in half-dead condition, rebuild them, and have yourself quite a nice 2-seater trainer, if you like, for a reasonable. But I couldn't do that. I had to build one. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. Also built, when I was living up on the mountain, I had a hydroelectric power plant and generated all our own electricity off a waterfall. The cross-flow turbine that I did for that, it's up on the website, free for anybody. You can download it. They make them all over the world. And it still holds a record from the Clemson Hydraulics Lab, most efficient cross-flow. So you can build one if you feel the need, if you got water.
I love this.
Of stuff here.
We got someone even better than MacGyver over here.
Yeah.
Man, you got tape. We'll do some stuff.
I've been thinking about those windmills that I see everywhere along I-70 and, just these big wind farms. How hard would it be to just send current to those things and turn them into fans?
You know, it's funny. I joked about that with Marisa. I said, you know, because there's a whole bunch of windmills. Where were we when we saw this stuff? I can't remember. Oh, it was the UK. Yeah, it was the UK. It's like, I said, you know, isn't this delightful? The English are so polite. They have arranged to put all these fans to make a pleasant breeze for us in the countryside. I just thought that was a delight. I'm convinced they're probably doing it.
You never know.
You never know.
You
never know.
Straight out of practice.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Gosh, I could ask you a bunch of different physics
You know
questions.
what? Yeah, well, go ahead. Okay. I was curious. What made you decide to get into the lighting in the cannabis industry? What came about?
Well, what happened originally is I was doing control systems, and I was building controls for a couple of different people. If you look at the cap and autopilot lines from Hydrofarm, we build those for them, and have for a couple three and a half years now. And come to find out, as we're building controls for our other electronics clients, the cannabis industry is growing quickly. And the most trouble they're having is with the lights, because they're just not reliable. They break a lot. There's one publicly traded company that has a documented failure rate of 25%. It's in their annual report. So you said, wow, 1 in 4 don't make it the 3 years to warranty. Oh my gosh. And 10% is not unheard of. I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, we can do a lot better than this.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. The Diva DE is a low frequency square wave light. Everything else out there is 100 kilohertz. But these guys can run metal halides, ceramic metal halides. They can run HPS, just about anything. And the lamps last a good bit longer on the low frequency. Matter of fact, Ushio did a bunch of testing, and they have the curves and say, yeah, these last noticeably longer, which is a good thing. Okay.
Well, it sounds like I have all these other non-light questions. I want to keep talking about.
Let's do it. And now it's a free for all.
Okay.
I hope you.
It's a free for all.
It's a free. We've gone rogue.
I want to make a robot called He Who Walks Between the Rows, and it rolls between rows of hemp crops, and it identifies males and executes them.
Dude, I don't want to be in that field.
You want to be in that field?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to be in a field where I've got a killer robot executing males. That would be bad.
I get it now.
It's just like, Sarah Connor. Don't work. Excuse me, Greg. It's like, man, I built you. Bang. I got enough problems. I have my own equipment come after me. But you could totally do it. The thing with something like that is not so much the robotic equipment, having something with, whether you want wheels or you want tracks or you want legs like Boston Dynamics, this stuff is doable. It's easy. When I was trying to do inertial platforms with ABS brake sensors 25 years ago, it was hard. Now, the stuff that we couldn't afford because it was all military only. Oh man, Analog Devices makes these chips for a couple bucks a piece. You just do it. The hard part of what you're describing is going to be the software. That's going to be the tough part. Software is always the hard part, having to do all that image recognition so it doesn't get the wrong plans. I think enough learning, enough time, it could probably do a pretty good job.
There you go.
Yeah, somebody's going to do it. Probably won't be me, but it sure would be cool.
I don't want to do that.
That'd be...
Then come roll across the lawn.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it would be.
If you had the skills.
Well, Greg does.
Yeah.
If he had the time, which I know he doesn't.
Yeah.
So these, we're getting 2,300 micromoles out for under $1,000 for this light, and it's 15% brighter. You've said DE a few times. What's that stand for?
Oh, sorry about that. Double-ended. Most of the lights that you used in grow rooms were single-ended lamps. They had mogul bases, and you just screw the thing in. And then Philips came out with a lovely double-ended, and you don't have that shadowing of the wire going down the side. And they're a little bit brighter and a little bit hotter. And they work really well. Most of the lights that you see, whether they're mine or Gavitas, Nanoluxes, whoever's, they're all DEs these days. And the LEDs are finally gotten to the point that they can not only compete with the DEs, but beat them by a lot. So I think that's starting to get pretty interesting.
Nice.
How do people get a hold of you, or how do people? I didn't get your website down on here yet. It's revolutionmicro.com.
Revolutionmicro.com. You can find us there, and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the usual suspects. I'm always on on the website. We're very accessible folks. We're here from 9 in the morning till 8 at night most of the time.
One more question that I have: can lighting help stop mildew, powdery mildew, or anything like that? Is there a certain spectrum, or it is what it is, and you just got to take care of it manually?
There are a lot of guys that are talking about using ultraviolet for that. UVA doesn't really help. UVB does. UVC, absolutely 100% clean up that powdery mildew. Boom, gone like it was never there. Also, your plants are crispy, and by the way, so are you.
Yeah, I was going to say, that would kill you, won't it?
There's always some little technical issue.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, more flipper babies. Oh, gosh. More plants, more skin coming off. Yeah, no, we can't do the UVC. Bad stuff.
Yeah.
UVB, you can do it. However, UVB also damages the plant's cell walls a little bit. There's a lot of debate right now is that beneficial? When the plant has to repair that cellular damage,
right, it
produces things that we want in the plant. Is this good or is this bad? If I've got PhD horticulturists arguing about this, some say yes, some say no. I'm an electronicer. I can just make the lights.
Yeah.
But I know that you could in fact do that, and you could do that with UV. But I don't know about the practicality. I'd like to see some more testing on it.
Sure. Well, I enjoyed today's show.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and I learned some stuff that I'll never remember.
I want to go watch Richard Feynman videos now. That's what you need to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman.
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate having you on the show. You have anything else?
No, not right now. I've got your Skype name now. I'm going to be the guy that's like, hey, I gotta.
Yeah.
No, I'll leave you alone. But it's really awesome talking to somebody.
No, if you have questions,
truly smart.
Offline too.
Yeah. I have ghost detector questions.
Well,
do you know? Wait, they're big. Go ahead.
Marisa, that whole thing. She wants me to build ghost detecting equipment, go ghost busting. We were talking about building something that we call the Dead City Radio after Rob Zombie, of course. And because you listen to some of these guys that they have radios that go back and forth, listening. Yeah. It's like you can clean that up with digital signal processing. And you just have to get somebody with enough time and enough effort to put in the DSP that you can just tune this stuff. In the next 2 years, you're going to see stuff we would have never thought possible. Nikola Tesla actually was really big into that. He says, once you start really being able to communicate, between the realms, as it were, he says, we're going to learn a lot about electronics. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I think it'll be great. I built ghost detectors that had 3 Hall effect sensors in them that were oriented at different angles. Yep. And so it would detect a switch in the magnetic field, light up some LEDs and some infrared LEDs.
Well, we should talk about this offline sometime, because when I was in the avionics business, most magnetometers were this big. I built one that was about the size of your thumb that became the reference, and it is frighteningly sensitive, enough so that you can detect the Earth's magnetic field and detect it accurately, even if you're around large masses like Stone Mountain here in Georgia. I could walk by this thing 50 meters with a screwdriver in my pocket, and it would track me all the way across the yard. You get 3 of those things, because it's a tri-axis magnetic. You get 3 of those things in a room. It's like anything comes in there, you're gonna know.
We got to do that.
Yeah, we got to do another. Halloween's just around the corner. We're gonna do. We did a ghost hunting special for Halloween last year.
They throw some unbelievable parties for Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
Bring the ghost.
She used to do movie effects, and she's big into Halloween. As a matter of fact, there's a witch here at my office over on the thing there with the I'll show you with the apple and all that.
Yeah, there we go.
This is what you have to put up with when you come into the office.
Will you get me Dieter, please? Here, I'll show you. We've got we don't have a witch, but we've got a ghost.
Oh, check it out.
He's in a. So we keep him in there.
The copper binds them.
Yeah.
It's your own personal Dybbuk box. Well, that's great.
Every time I drive across Kansas now, since I was illegally pulled over for my Colorado license plate, I take I take the box with me. They'll
got to have, man. That's deluxe. That's interesting stuff. But I think we're going to find out a lot. If you were to draw, a line for the electromagnetic spectrum from DC to X-rays on the wall, and say, mark for me the part that we as humans can sense, even with all the instruments that we've ever built, you can't make a mark that fine. It's like we see nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like we're getting better. It used to be, 100 years ago we saw nothing. Now we see 100 times nothing, which is still just not so much.
Yeah, I love it. Still not so much. I love that.
But the pit viper has a sensor in his nose. We can't see ultraviolet, but the bee. We're going to watch Richard Feynman.
Yeah, definitely. Michael. Great show. Great show. I love this.
All right, y'all.
We really appreciate you taking time out, Greg and Marisa.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Y'all have a good one.
You have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right.
They're great.
It eventually worked. That was good.
Isn't he brilliant?
Yeah, I could.
I know you.
It was tough to not get off on tangents.
No, I'll give you both of their email address. Well, you have them. Ask him any question. Him and Marisa. They're one of the nicest people I've ever met in the industry.
Yeah, it's
and he's just ridiculous. Pull up his jet fighter, or his not fighter, his jet.
How do you know it's not a fighter?
Well, that's true.
What was it called? Cozy Jet.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Yeah, that guy's next level smart.
Yeah,
look at that. Sure enough. Pull it up on YouTube, see if it crashes anything. Let's see.
You gotta have balls to design something like that and actually fly in it.
It's gonna take me a second. There we go. Let's get some.
There you go.
Wow. Let me back it up.
That's amazing.
The one and only Cozy Jet. Oh, he did this recently. Wow.
You got a lot of time and money to be doing shit like this, Goodness gracious. Good for them.
Well, it sounds like he's got some great lights.
Yeah, I hear, they're the best in the market.
Well, I haven't talked to a lighting guy who seemed any smarter than that yet.
No. Oh, I don't think he's a published author and all this shit.
Yeah, I took a bunch of notes. So, I don't have this video pulled up either, but tonight, I'll be posting it later to the Veedverks page, but tonight, Corey Boudinot is going to go race in this video game racing league with the...
oh my God, we're still on or no?
Yeah. You not know that?
No. Hey, everyone. Yeah. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm over here just la, 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 la. That's funny. Well...
now you know our candid thoughts about that man. We just
mad respect. He's a genius.
He's a genius.
You're up there too on that level with him. But as far I think
I know words that he said.
Yeah,
I don't know that
he's more of a doctorate in that.
Yeah,
but mad respect for both him and Marisa. They've besides that, they've just always been so nice. They're good, solid people, and that's really nice to find that in our industry.
Yeah.
Good people.
Cool.
Great show.
Well, thanks for lining them up, Michael.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
We will see you, I guess, on Thursday for the Veedverks airship, and then we'll see you next Tuesday, and we'll just keep doing these.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
All right. Thanks.